Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're going to be learning more about animating, specifically keyframing velocity and speed, and a little bit about the motion path. I'm going to teach you a little bit about different types of keyframes, and we'll go from there. So if you look here, I created a motion path by animating the position, and it's just 3 keyframes in a kind of an arch. So I wanted to show you about the motion path is in between each of your keyframes. So if you look at the motion path, there's little dots. Each of those dots represent a frame, and when you get to the bigger squares, that's your actual keyframe. So between this big square and this big square, there's this many frames. Now the closer together the dots are, I'll show you that, the farther apart and slower your animation is going to be. Now you can see there's a whole bunch of dots because I dragged the keyframe farther away from the first keyframe. So let's put that back somewhere close to the middle. Now realistically, I'll show you the animation real quick. It's just not too realistic. It's just a basic animation. So in real life, an object will accelerate in the beginning and maybe accelerate or decelerate around this position, around the middle position, and then at the end position it'll decelerate. And you can achieve this in After Effects to make a more realistic animation. To do this, let's go down to the last keyframe where we know we'll be decelerating, and we'll go up to make sure it's clicked. You know it's clicked when it's highlighted. Go up to the menus up here and click on animation, and go to keyframe assistant, and you can click on easy ease. And when I click on this, watch the dots at the end, how they change. Let's move this out of the way. You can see that the dots have gotten closer together into a decelerating fashion. Now I'll show you real quick. Another animation preview. If you watch the end, it slowly comes to a halt instead of like just stopping on a dot. This makes the animation look a little more realistic. Now the hotkey for the easy ease key is F9, and you'll want to remember that. That's the most important one. To make the keyframe not be an easy ease keyframe anymore, hold Control or Command on Windows and click on the keyframe, and it'll put it back to a regular keyframe. When you use the easy ease keyframes, it automatically figures out which is the best position for you to, or what is the best way for it to interpret how you want to use the keyframe. So if we put it at the start and convert this into an easy ease keyframe, I'll show you another way real quick, is to right click on your keyframe and go to the keyframe assistant and click on easy ease again, and you notice that now it is accelerating. So the keyframe, the easy ease hourglass icon there, it figures out what would be best. So at the beginning it'll accelerate, and at the end it'll decelerate for you. So I'm gonna Control click on the hourglass again to change it back. Now if you want to be more precise and maybe the keyframe easy ease didn't work the way you wanted it to, you can also use a different method. If you right click on it and go to keyframe assistant, and you can choose if you want it to go in or out. So in the beginning, if you want it to accelerate, click on out, and it'll do the same exact thing. You can see that it turns into an arrow pointing to the left. So let's preview it real quick. Alright. And you can do the same thing with the end one. Easy ease in. Let's preview. Accelerates, then decelerates. Now it's a little bit of more smoother animation, easier on the eye. I'll zoom in again. That's pretty good for this part of the tutorial. I basically taught you about the motion path and the easy ease. Remember that these are the frames in between, and remember that in our composition that we created, go to the composition settings here, that we are at 24 frames per second for the frame rate. We pick that. It might be you can change that anytime you want. It's not always smart to change it in the middle of animating and stuff like that, because it might screw up your previous animations, but it's always there to animate. Remember that F9 is the hotkey for easy ease, and you don't really have to remember the easy ease in and easy ease out keyframe or hotkeys, because you don't use them as much as the regular easy ease. But here are the hotkeys: Shift F9 and Control Shift F9. It's kind of not easy to. It's not like an easy hotkey to just use, where you can keep your hand on one hand on the mouse and one hand hitting the hotkey like this one. So let's head off into the next tutorial, where I'll be teaching you how to smooth out your animation, and we'll see what goes on from then. Hope to see you guys there. Hey guys, welcome back to an Adobe After Effects CS6 tutorial, and this time we'll be going over keyframe velocity again, but this time I'll be showing you a little bit about auto Bezier keyframes and linear, and I'll show you like the difference between them. It should be a quick tutorial, and we might as well get started, and let's get on it. So I'm using an arch with 3 points. This is my motion path that I've used by animating position of this tuna can. So as you can see right here, this is how it moves. In the previous tutorial, I explained easy ease keyframes and how those help make your animation more realistic and smoother on the eye. So what I want to show you this time is when you add an easy ease keyframe. Let's add it at the end here. F9 is the hotkey, and it changes to an hourglass, and we know that it has been easy ease because for one, it's an hourglass down there, and for second, the frames in the motion path have been condensed at the end. In the middle here, there is a way to smooth out how this tuna can goes around this curve and makes it more appealing to viewers. So click on your keyframe in the middle and hold Control and click on it again. It should turn into a circle. Now this is called an auto Bezier keyframe, and keep an eye on your points here, the frames, the little dots on the motion path. Keep an eye on them while I switch between auto Bezier keyframe and the linear keyframe. Let's move it over here. You can see that it moves a little bit to smooth it out, which means I have it in a pretty good position right now. So let me move it out of position a little more. You can see that it's going to take longer to get to here, to this keyframe, than it will to get down from here to here. Now if I smooth it out, you can see now how it changes the keyframes. Makes it a little bit more smooth. So I'll drag this back in the middle and make for a smooth animation there. Let's preview the animation. Now he's coming up, he's accelerating out of it and then decelerating at the end. So that's another way for you to animate the keyframe velocity. Again, this was just a quick tutorial to show you that to get off the keyframe, to get off the auto Bezier keyframe, hold down Control or Command on the Mac and click on it. And that's all for this tutorial. Hopefully guys, you learned something real quick, and we'll move on to the next tutorial where we will be talking about the graph editor and how to use that to make your animations perfect. So, see you guys next time. Have a good one.